Believe me, there's a much bigger threat to the men in blue. That's him! Kill the bastard with the video camera!
Hey guys, Rogue Nation here with you, and right now we got a video and some information coming out of Mississippi, Rankin County, Mississippi, which is right next door to Jackson, Mississippi, the state capital. And this story is about a group of officers that are going by the name GOON Squad. Alright? And it seems they're racist, but the actions of these officers are just, they're out of control, and they are being investigated. They have pled guilty to some federal charges and to some state charges, and it looks like they will be getting some time. Again, not the amount of time that citizens would get, but it does look like they're at least getting some form of punishment. Let's get right into the story. It says here that it all started on the night of January 24th, after Sheriff's lead investigator Brett McAlphin got a call from a Braxton County resident that two black men were living in their neighborhood with a white woman. Oh my God. It says Rankin County has been reputed in recent years as a special enclave for white flight and an unwelcoming frontier for black people moving in or even visiting from nearby Jackson. The white woman was identified as Christy Wally, Parker's friend since childhood. Now Parker and Jenkins are the two men that were tortured by the Goon Squad. Alright, so Christy Wallace is the white lady who these black men lived with, but we come to find out that they don't really live there. Parker is just her friend for 20 or 30 years, however old they are, and it says here that she was at the hospital at the time of the invasion. Wally has been paralyzed all of her adult life, and Parker was helping care for her. She couldn't live alone and was very dependent on Parker, she said. Jenkins was a friend of Parker's and was visiting the house. So it's actually this lady's friend. He's helping her out of the goodness of his heart. He might be making some money or getting some money for helping, but I guarantee you he's not, Puff Daddying it up on the dime there. He's helping out a friend that he's had for years and years. So careful not to be caught on the house security video. The 6 officers agreed to avoid leaving too many facial bruises on the pair of victims and would concentrate instead on delivering body blows along with an unceasing number of taser shots and other humiliations such as throwing eggs, milk, and other liquids poured over the two victims. Further humiliation came with what has been described as a sex toy, an object forced into the two victims' mouths and was intended to commit further abuse on Jenkins, who had defecated on himself due to the 90-minute torture ordeal. The false charges brought against Parker and Jenkins include possession of narcotics, firing a weapon at an officer, resisting arrest, and assault on the officer. All those charges were dropped once the federal investigations were being drawn to a close in June, said Walker. How does it even get to that? Like, didn't nobody investigate from the sheriff's department this incident? I mean, first of all, you got 6 officers, 5 of them from Rankin County Sheriff. One of the officers was an off-duty Richland City police officer who was off-duty. There was no questioning about this raid that supposedly went on, and I don't know if they have body cam footage or not. Obviously probably not, or if they did, they probably wouldn't have turned it on in an instance like this, of course. But just horrendous how they treated a gentleman. It was crazy in the fact that Jenkins, they actually put the gun in his mouth and fired, and from what I understand, it lacerated his tongue, and it went out and hit his ear and his neck. So they filed a $400 million lawsuit over this incident. So let's get to the video here real quick, guys. This is a video of the news report of it, so we're gonna check that out.
Abuse case of 2 black men in Rankin County appeared in court today to face state charges. 12 News' Tia McKenzie, she is live from the Rankin County Court with more on today's hearing. Tia?
Tal, the courtroom was packed to maximum capacity as those 6 officers pleaded guilty once again, this time to state charges. Brett McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, Christian Dedman, Hunter Elwood, Daniel Opdyke, and Joshua Hartfield each entered the Rankin County Courthouse, wrists shackled to their waists in jail suits. Prosecutors today described the heinous acts that occurred during the raid on a Braxton home. The officers received word that black men were staying with a white woman there. The officers spoke with each other in code phrases such as work easy and no bag mug shots before raiding the home, beating and torturing Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker. Jenkins was shot in the mouth during the encounter. The 6 officers pleaded guilty to several federal charges earlier this month.
Came back inside. He observed MJ and EP covered in chocolate syrup and other liquids. Shortly after, MJ and EP were ordered to strip naked and shower off. Their handcuffs were removed. After MJ and EP showered off and changed into clean underwear and sweats, they were handcuffed again and brought to the side bedroom adjacent to the carport. The officers began discussing the comparative strength of their respective tasers, and they decided to test their tasers on MJ and EP to see which one was the most powerful.
You have to disagree with this factual basis, Mr. Bill? Yeah, you disagree with what she said? The arrest we made against you is a use of force or intimidation. They caused you to change your plea from not guilty to guilty. Promises are hope reward they make you, and so we can change your plea from not guilty to guilty. After speaking to your attorney, you want to decide to plead guilty. Tell the court you're freely and voluntarily admitting your guilty crime you're pleading guilty to, and you plead guilty to the argument. You understand this court's not bound by any plea bargaining agreement to impose the maximum sentence here? Yes. You also understand if I accept your plea, you have no right to an appeal.
Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey released a statement in part, "I believe today's guilty pleas show the community that our system of checks and balances is effective." As for those 6 officers, they are expected to be sentenced in mid-November. Live in Rankin County, Tia McKenzie, 12 News.
Thank you so much, Tia. Well, Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey also included in his statement on today's court proceedings that, quote, the Rankin County Sheriff's Office.
Now, I don't know how true this Bailey guy is. Come to find out, he worked under GOON Jones, who was a state trooper there in Mississippi and was also involved some way with the shooting that happened in Mississippi of the 2 black students in 1970. So he became a sheriff in the 90s, and this sheriff here, Brian Bailey, supposedly worked under him, and the guy's nickname was actually Goon. So just terrible that this happened, but what's even more terrible is the fact that they said that this would be the first time that white officers were held criminally liable for abusing a black citizen. The first time in history. So, I think that tells you all you need to know about who's running Mississippi and why all of our sheets end up disappearing there. Alright guys, I'll talk to you guys soon.
What's this? What do you think you're doing? You think you could just come in here and film police officers training?